Hello folks, welcome to Just the Tip, a new mini-series on practice tips, tricks, and troubleshooting. In these short videos, I'll discuss some of the perennial problems I see in the longsword training community and share my ideas on how to fix them. In some cases, when I want to dig a little deeper and share some of my own training methods, there's going to be supplementary video available exclusively on the Squinting Rabbit Productions Patreon. If you're watching on YouTube, for example, there's going to be a link in the description below that will lead you directly to that video. If you're already on Patreon, just keep watching. It'll show right up. Since we've named this series Just the Tip, I thought it would be appropriate that Episode 1 deal with thrusting mechanics. Before I begin, I want to make 3 quick points, and you're going to hear these over and over again in subsequent episodes as well. First, there is no such thing as the one correct way of doing things, even given a particular weapon within a particular system. These are simply my current understandings based on how I've been taught, based on how I've taught myself and how I teach others, and based on, well, science, particularly the fields of geometry, physics, and physiology. So yes, while the information here may be theoretical in the scientific sense of the word, it does come from years of research, over a decade thus far, using myself and many others as test subjects. I've observed strong causal relationships between these particular problems, my advice for mitigating them, which has evolved over the years naturally, and increased efficacy. Second, this information is not a magic bullet. Unless you've got amazing kinesthetic sense and body control, like a professional dancer, these adjustments will take lots of time and lots of practice to internalize. In fact, you may notice that things seem to get worse before they start getting better. Don't despair. This is a normal part of the process of teaching your body new ways of moving. Finally, remember that sword use is dangerous. Whether you're using a blunted training sword or a sharp weapon, there's always the risk of bodily injury or death to yourself or to those around you. Inspect all weapons and training tools prior to use, and make sure your practice area is secured from pets, children, and any other innocent bystanders. Whenever possible, practice under the direct supervision of a qualified instructor in a controlled environment, like a training hall. And, in case you skipped past our general disclaimer at the beginning of the video, it's also posted in the description below. So the short version is, if you expect to get anything out of these videos, don't discount my advice immediately, don't give up on practicing one thing one way for quite a while, and, of course, stay safe. Now let's get to it. So, I want to talk about 2 small issues with thrusting practice, as I generally see it being done. One has to do with aiming and hitting the desired target. I don't mean, of course, just hitting the other person. I mean hitting a small, precise target with minimal margin of error. The second is maintaining good structure while doing so. Naturally, these issues are related. As far as targeting is concerned, I think people overcomplexify the technique by not actually aiming. What I mean by this is, think of the sword as pointing in a direct line from hilt to tip to desired target. That way, the thrust can be performed in a much simpler action, essentially just accelerating it along that one single line. If you're aiming somewhere other than where you intend to strike, however, you have to then adjust the orientation of the sword while moving it forward. This is more complicated, more prone to missing, and of course, much more likely to telegraph your intent to the opponent. For the purposes of this video, I'm mostly demonstrating from longboard or long point, but this works exactly the same from any guard. Similarly, in terms of structure, don't deviate your wrists too much. I see this mostly in thrusting through long point, and not only does it complicate targeting, because you're pivoting the sword in space while pushing it forward, but it will also unnecessarily strain your wrists and forearms should you meet resistance. Trust me, you gain a negligible amount of distance doing this, so don't bother. So, that's the main kernel of advice here. Keep things moving in a relatively straight line. Practicing in this way will improve your thrust accuracy and precision, and your wrists will thank you besides. Hey folks, this video has supplementary material available exclusively on the Squinting Rabbit Productions Patreon. Click the link in the video description below for access.